Now, back to Coastal Living on KZTV.
Hello everyone, thanks for sticking with us here on Coastal Living. Now it can't be a Coastal Living show without a Coastal Bend Beach report. So last week we highlighted some of the weekly events that you can do at the Padre Island National Seashore. And today we have Charles, also known as Chuck Lassiter, here to tell us more about the Padre Island National Seashore events and information. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So tell us a little bit about your role. I'm going to call it PINS because it's a long term, and what you want people to know about it.
So one thing I really like for folks to know about PINS, Padre Island National Seashore, is that we were established specifically for recreation and public benefit. Obviously, we protect a lot of natural resources out there, but we're here for you. So we want people to realize this is their national park unit here locally. The folks from Corpus Christi, if you're looking for something to do, come out and see us. Amen.
And so you mentioned that you're there to educate and inform our community. What about some activities that there are to do out at the park?
So there are lots of things to do out at the park. We have ranger programs. We have fishing, boating. You can do birding.
Kites?
Yes, birding tours. We have a kite festival coming up in February. And the more adventurous can go on the Laguna Madre and try their hand at windsurfing or stand-up paddleboarding. We have a concessionaire that does that as well.
Very nice. And also some beautiful flowers and things to look at out on our gorgeous island. So tell us about, I've never been to a turtle release, but it is on my bucket list. Is that the most amazing thing to see?
It's pretty amazing. You have to get up early and get out for the turtle releases. They are really big in June, July, and early August. But you come out for it. We have about 25 turtle releases a year, and there's nothing quite as special as seeing those little hatchlings making their way out to the ocean.
Is there just one big collective, aww, when it happens?
It's more so when that last one gets in the water, or actually when the first one too, but yes.
Tears rolling down your face. So besides that, what other type of events do you have coming up?
So in February, it's going to be a busy month for us. On February the 15th, we do have our annual Kite Day, and it's a pretty busy day. It goes from 9 to 3 o'clock, and that event can draw over 2,000 people, so it's going to be busy. Make sure you get out early. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some professional kiters who are going to be out demonstrating, and amateurs. Kids can come. We have activities where the rangers will help them put kites together, so there's a lot going on that day. And then at the end of February, on February the 29th, that's our big shell Billy Sandiford cleanup that happens every year. That's a huge deal for us. And we'll have, last year we had about 1,400 people come out for that cleanup.
Wow.
So we had a great community involvement with that. And a little side note too, I forgot to mention is on February the 8th, we do work with the Texas Land Office. They have their annual Adopt a Beach for the winter cleanup on February the 8th. That's up and down the coast, but we are one of the host sites. So that's another thing you can get involved in February.
Wonderful. So definitely lots of events, and we want to make sure that we're on top of that. So we'll get you guys the information to sort of keep a calendar of everything going on. Now the kiting thing looks really fun. I can't say I'm the strongest kiter. Is that the word, kiter? Are there professionals?
There will be professionals there who will be demonstrating, helping people learn how to actually fly your kites.
Okay, so what's the difference between somebody who just knows how to fly one versus a professional kite flyer?
Probably experience, time doing it.
So they do like tricks and stuff with it?
Well, there are certainly some people that can do tricks with them, but this will actually be my very first one that I've seen because I've only been out at the island for about 14 months now.
Awesome.
And unfortunately, we weren't able to have it. The first year in 10 years, we didn't have it last year, just due to some unforeseen circumstances, but we're hoping to be back in full force this year with it.
And you mentioned before we got started today that you're coming from Maui, right?
I was most recently at Haleakala National Park in Maui.
Amazing. So I'm sure there's a big difference in everything about the beach that you're present in, but what is something that you appreciate about ours versus the beautiful beaches of Hawaii?
Well, there's a lot of activities here in Corpus Christi overall. There's a lot to do here in this general area, and there's different history here as well. One thing that we don't talk about as much at Padre Island National Seashore is there's history, there's culture here. Going back to the early days when you had the Spanish and French explorers, all the way up to the fact of the ranching before it became a national park. Ranching was very prevalent out on Padre Island, and even up until the early 1970s, we still had grazing, cattle grazing out on the island. So it's very different out there.
Interesting. Beach cows, imagine. So tell me, I'm sure that working in this area, I mean, it's nature. There's always challenges. There's marine life and things in the water that you have to take into account. What are some challenges you face?
Well, the biggest challenge I believe that we face at Padre Island, and it's also a problem up and down the Gulf Coast, on the west, especially the western Gulf Coast, due to currents. winds bringing here is marine debris and shoreline trash. A great percentage of that trash is plastics, and plastics are very light, so they're very susceptible to wind and currents that bring things right here to the western Gulf Coast. So we are constantly fighting, marine debris and shoreline.
Sure. It's a tongue
trash.
twister.
Yes.
So we know the basics, right? Just don't litter, but how can we encourage our viewers to participate in lessening the amount of debris in our water?
Well, I think it's all about thinking about, what you're doing, making thoughtful choices. I'm as guilty as anybody else when I go to the grocery store buying things that have a lot of packaging. But a lot of that stuff actually does end up in our water. We see a lot of plastic bottles, a lot of nets, different things. The reason I bring up nets is because one problem that we do see is entanglements with turtles and other marine life, and that can maim or kill marine life. So we just want to be mindful and think about things before we do them.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your advice on that, and I hope we can all remember that. Even if you're not by the beach, it doesn't mean that it won't make its way over there. So keep that into account. Just pretend there's like a little turtle on your shoulder. It's like, don't do it. I want to live and swim to my mommy. Okay, so let's look at the details for our viewers for these upcoming events. It's at the Padre Island National Seashore. You have free weekly events, and a few that you mentioned, February 8th.
February 8th for the Adopt a Beach, February the 15th for the Kite Festival, and February the 29th for the Big Shell Cleanup.
Amazing. But you're welcome to go out there and clean up anytime. If you want more information, you can call 949-8173. Thank you, Chuck, so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Fee-free day next Monday on Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Feed free?
Fee-free.
Fee-free.
So you can come into the park free on Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Okay, so after you go pay your service to the community and participate in the walk, you can actually head over out to the beach and sort of enjoy yourself at no cost, maybe clean up a little and save the turtles. Sounds like a fun day to me.
It's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Chuck, so much.